It was a bright and sunny morning in the small town of Pawsville. Mimi, clever and mischievous cat, was lounging by the window, watching the birds chirp and flutter outside. Her best friend Boo, the playful but slightly foolish dog, was busy digging in the garden, hoping to find a treasure he had buried some time ago. "Mimi, I can't find my favorite bone," Boo cried, his tail wagging nervously as he looked around the garden. "I know I buried it here, but it's gone." Mimi, with her usual wisdom, stretched lazily and jumped down from the windowsill. "Boo, how many times have I told you not to bury things all over the place? You always forget where you put them." Boo's ears drooped as he sighed. "I know, Mimi. This bone was special. It was a gift from Mrs. Brown, remember? I can't lose it." Seeing Boo so distressed, Mimi decided to help him find the bone. After all, what are friends for? "All right, Boo. Let's retrace your steps. Maybe we'll figure out where you left it." Boo's eyes lit up with hope as he followed Mimi around the garden. "Thank you, Mimi. You're the best." Mimi and Boo started their search by checking the usual spots where Boo liked to dig. They checked under the big oak tree, near the garden shed, and even behind the rose bushes. There was no sign of the missing bone. As they were about to give up, Mimi noticed something peculiar. There were small paw prints leading away from the garden and towards the woods behind their house. "Boo, look, these tracks might belong to the one who took your bone. Let's follow them." Boo's tail wagged furiously as he sniffed the tracks. "You're right, Mimi. Let's go." And so, Mimi and Boo ventured into the woods, following the trail of paw print. The woods were dense, with tall trees and thick bushes that made it hard to see the path ahead. But Mimi, with her sharp senses, led the way confident, while Boo stayed close behind, trusting his friend completely. After walking for what seemed like hours, the duo reached a small clearing in the woods. There, sitting on a rock, was a sly-looking fox with a smug grin on his face. And right next to him, half buried in the dirt, was Boo's missing bone. Boo barked excitedly. "There it is, Mimi! My bone!" Mimi narrowed her eyes at the fox. "Hey, that bone doesn't belong to you. It's Boo's. Hand it over." Fox, named Freddy, chuckled and shook his head. "Finders, keepers. I found this bone in your garden, so now it's mine." Boo looked worried. Mimi wasn't one to back down easily. "Freddy, you know it's wrong to take things that don't belong to you. How about we make a deal? If you return the bone, we'll help you find something even better." Freddy, intrigued by Mimi's offer, raised an eyebrow. "Something better, you say? And what could be better than this fine bone?" Mimi thought for a moment, then replied, "How about we help you find a whole stash of bones? I've heard there's a hidden treasure buried deep in these woods, filled with bones and treats. You can have it all if you give Boo his bone back." Freddy's eyes widened with excitement. "Hidden treasure, you say? All right, you've got a deal, but you better not be tricking me, Mimi." With the deal made, Freddy handed the bone back to Boo, who happily wagged his tail and held it in his mouth. "Thank you, Mimi." "Thank you, Freddy," Boo mumbled through his prized possession. Mimi then led the way deeper into the woods, Freddy and Boo following close behind. 3 of them ventured further than they had ever gone before, crossing streams, climbing over fallen logs, and squeezing through narrow gaps between the trees. As they traveled, Mimi kept an eye out for any signs of the hidden treasure. She knew there wasn't really a treasure in the woods. She was determined to find something that would satisfy Freddy and keep Boo happy. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached an old, hollow tree at the edge of the woods. Mimi sniffed around the base of the tree and noticed a faint scent of something delicious. "This is it," he declared. "Treasure must be inside." Freddy eagerly started digging around the tree, and to his surprise, he uncovered a small stash of bones that had been hidden away by some other animal long ago. "I can't believe it. You were telling the truth, Mimi," Freddy exclaimed, his eyes gleaming with joy. Boo, still holding onto his bone, barked happily. "Wow, Mimi, you're amazing. We really found a treasure." Mimi smiled, satisfied that she had managed to keep both her friends happy. "I told you we'd find something better, Freddy. Now we can all go home." The lesson learned. As the 3 friends made their way back home, Freddy couldn't help but feel a little guilty for having taken Boo's bone in the first place. He turned to Mimi and said, "Mimi, I'm sorry for taking Boo's bone. It wasn't right of me to do that." Mimi nodded approvingly. I'm glad you understand, Freddie. It's always better to be honest and not take things that don't belong to us. In the end, being kind and helping each other, what really matters. Boo, still as cheerful as ever, added, Yeah, Freddie, we're all friends now, and friends share and help each other. Freddie smiled and agreed. You're right, Boo. From now on, I'll make sure to ask before taking anything, and I'll be more careful about how I treat my friends. With that, the trio returned to Pawsville, each of them a little wiser and a lot happier. Boo had his favorite bone back, Freddie had a new stash of bones, and Mimi had once again proven that wisdom and kindness always win in the end. And so Mimi, Boo, and Freddie continued to have many more adventures together, always looking out for each other and learning valuable lessons along the way. Moral of the story: it's important to be honest and considerate of others. True friendship is built on trust, kindness, and helping each other, even when things don't go as planned.